Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Tiffany, a retired librarian turned homeschool mom. And this video we're going to look at the first book in what we in the US call the Last Apprentice series. This is Revenge of the Witch by Joseph Delaney. The first book in, if you're British, this book is called, I'm looking at, The Apprentice, or just The Spook's Apprentice is the title of this book. So this is the first book in this 13-part series. And yes, I'm covering every single one of them. And this is the first book that I found and why I decided to do this entire series. So I enjoy this series to a point. They're a little bit dark for me. Not my favorite. In this book, we meet Thomas Ward. So he is the seventh son of a seventh son. And in the world that he lives in, which is a slightly fictionalized Lancaster County in England, time period, they don't have electricity. They're still using candles. They're technically still witches. Technology wise, it's still candles. Things are people are doing it by fires, but you don't really have kings and lords all that much. At least they're not really brought up. So give or take, I'm guessing maybe the 1700s, around time period here, 17, maybe 1800s. So again, it's pre-industrial age. So the author is from Lancaster County, England. So that is what he's taking his inspiration from. So again, in this book, we meet Tom Ward. So Tom Ward is the seventh son of a seventh son. And what that means for him is, since his father cannot inherit his father's farm, and his father had to basically find jobs and call in favors for all of his sons except for the oldest. And so you have Tom, who's the youngest, and the only position left really for him is to be apprenticed to the local spook. And what the spook does in this way, his name is John Gregory, and he deals with bogarts and witches and ghosts and all sorts of dark demon things. And he basically takes care of them for this area of the county, which is what it's called. They call it the county. So Tom is essentially apprenticed to him because seventh sons have this ability to deal with the dark, as they call it. So in this first book, we deal with it's kind of an introduction. You learn about Tom, his older brother, his older brother's wife. They have a little baby. His little bit of mom. Mom has some interesting backstories as this series goes on. And a little bit about Tom and how he goes off and learns a little bit about the spook and eventually focuses on the basics of witches. Witches are a big thing in this book series. You also get introduced when he goes to Gregory's home, Alice, who is technically she's a witch. She's living with her aunt, who's Bonnie Lizzie, who is a witch, who's evil, and they eventually put her in a pit, because that's what Gregory does not kill witches. They're immortal creatures. He basically buries them upside down in pits in one of his gardens. Yes. They don't die. They just kind of live there, trapped. Bonnie Lizzie shows up later. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself. So eventually, one of the witches, Mother Minkin, who's actually a relative of Alice's, oddly enough, escapes, and they have to deal with her. And that's kind of the overview of this book. It's been a while. I'm further along in the series. It just took me a while to get a physical copy. I have an e-copy of this book. So he learns a little bit about witches and what happens, how you destroy them eventually. Minkin she attacks Tom Ward's home and is eventually eaten by pigs. So, yeah. But that's when his brother doesn't want him spending the night anymore, because his brother realizes, yes, he's a spook and the dark follows him. I feel sorry for the brother. Bad things happen to him later. But and they learn about the Spook's previous apprentice, Billy, who screwed up with a Bogart and eventually died of shock. Go into a little bit further in another book. But the other fun thing about these books is, at least in most of them, and this is probably one of the more detailed one, is in the back, and the reason I like these in physical form is you have this journal of Thomas J. Ward. So you get information about the different things he's learning about. And you also get maps. You have all this little information, what Alice told him, and then you get the map, essentially, of the county. And Chippenden is where essentially the summer quarters of John Gregory is. And you learn a little bit more about him and different things. So you have these maps in the back, which I love. Which is the reason I like these in physical form. As much as you can most definitely read them in digital form, they're better in physical form, in my opinion, which is what I will link, just because of these journal entries in the back. Age level, this is dark, so it can be read to younger kids if they like scary stuff. It is in the children's section, kind of geared middle schoolish, depending on your kid's reading level. I like the format and how it's a little bit kind of shorter. It's a shorter book in that sense. It's actually not too long, minus the, at least for one of these things, it's about 343 pages, which isn't too big, because again, the size of the books, and there's photographs. That's the other thing, is you find pictures in these books. And you kind of find different photographs in here. So it makes it more interesting. So that's really it for this review. I enjoy these books. I'm actually further along in the book series. This is a little late. I think I'm like in book 8, which is the reason this video is short. So very, very dark, not for the faint of heart, particularly not the rest of this series. Things get very, very, very dark. This is medium level. Things get bad. Things get very, very bad in this book series as I've read along. But this is kind of the good introduction. It starts the world building. You learn a little bit more about the basics of spooks and what they do and the world around them. So, fantastic start to a long, long series. So that's it for this book review. If you like what you see, be sure to check out the rest of this series. I am covering everything, including some of his short stuff that he fills in later. He has an entire bestiary of the spooks. So, fantastic series. Again, like what you see, like and subscribe, see the rest of the book series. Check out the rest of what I got. I do a lot of other children's books. This is on the darker side of what I cover. I'm covering this because it's good, and it's good for Halloween. It's dark. It's a little depressing for my take, but it's still a great series. So I cover a bunch of other stuff. I cover lots of children's picture books. I go into some teen fantasy stuff. I cover family films. I do cover some darker educational stuff because we are a homeschooling family. My child is, however, very young. At the time you will see this, she'll be about 3. So as she gets older, I'll add more secular homeschooling stuff to this channel. And as we're able to travel and the world opens up again, this is actually being filmed in October of 2021. Yes, I'm very, very much ahead of schedule in this. So I will hopefully by the time you see this, have more travel reviews on here, because that's one of the reasons we chose to homeschool, is because we want to travel. So again, like and subscribe, check out what I've got, and look forward to more. Thank you.